Hey you guys, this is a Chapter 11 review. If at the end you still have some questions, make sure you see me tomorrow morning before school starts. Alright, number 1 says Mario's company makes unusually shaped imitation gemstones. One gemstone had 15 faces and 12 vertices. How many edges did the gemstone have? So what we want to use here is Euler's formula. And his formula said F plus V is equal to E plus 2. So plugging in what we know, we had 15 faces, we had 12 vertices, we want to find out our edges, and we see our formula says plus 2. So simplifying, 15 plus 12 is 27, so 27 is equal to E plus 2, and then subtracting 2 on each side, I see that for edges we have 25. And 25, as you see on the back, is our answer. Number 2 says a jewelry store buys small boxes in which to wrap items that they sell. The diagram below shows one of the boxes. Find the lateral area and the surface area of the box to the nearest whole number. So those are some things I'm going to underline. Lateral area we need to determine, surface area we need to determine, and we want these to the nearest whole number. Alright, well, we know for a rectangular prism that lateral area is equal to perimeter times height, and it's the perimeter of the base. So if I determine that the bottom is my base, well then the perimeter is going to be 12 plus 5 plus 12 plus 5. Because remember, perimeter just adds up all the sides. So 12 plus 5 plus 12 plus 5. And if the bottom is my base, then connecting the base together would be my height, which is 2.45. So I'll put that on the outside. And it's 2.45. Now doing the math here, adding this up, I get 34, and then 34 times 2.45 is equal to 83 centimeters squared. So there's my lateral area. To find my surface area, let me box that in so we know this is one answer. This is the answer for lateral area. To find my surface area, that's my lateral area plus 2 times the base. Well, lateral area we already know is 83 plus 2 times capital B. A capital B stands for area of base. Well, again, our base is this bottom rectangle, and the area of that is going to be 12 times 5. So 2 times 12 times 5. So doing this math, we get 83 plus 2 times 60. So that's 83 plus 120. So that means our surface area is 203 centimeters squared. So there's our answer for our surface area. Number 3 says use formulas to find the lateral area and surface area of the given prism. Round your answer to the nearest whole number. Alright, so again, lateral area is equal to perimeter times height. So we'll find that first. Our base here is this triangle. I know it's my base because I have 2 of those and they're parallel to each other. So for perimeter, I'm going to add up all my sides. This side is 2, this side is 6, this side is congruent to this side, which is 6.32. So perimeter again was 2 plus 6 plus 6.32. My height is again what connects your base to your base. So my height is this distance right here, which is 36. All you have to do is plug that into your calculator. So plugging this in, we get that our lateral area is 516 meters squared, rounding to the nearest whole number. Now we need to solve for surface area. Surface area, again, that's your lateral area plus 2 times your base. Well, I know my lateral area is 516 plus 2 times the area of your base. Area of a triangle is found by 1/2 base times height. Now this base deals with the base of your base. So 6 would be our base and 2 would be our height. Again, our base and our height of our base itself. And we know that these are the units to use because they come together to create that 90-degree angle. So 1/2 times 6 for the base times 2 for the height. And then doing our math here, we get 516 plus 2 times half of 6 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then 2 times 6 is 12. So adding this together, we get 528 meters squared. And here's our answer for surface area. Alright, number 4 says find the surface area of the cylinder in terms of pi. So first we need to know what surface area of a cylinder is. Surface area is perimeter times height plus 2 times your base. Well, perimeter is the perimeter of our base, which is a circle. So that's really circumference. So that's 2 pi r for circumference times the height plus 2 times b. B stands for area of the base, and the area of a circle is found by pi r squared. So this is our more specific surface area formula for a cylinder. So plugging in what we know, we have 2 times pi. Our radius is going to be half of this diameter. We know this is a diameter because it shows us the whole line. If it only showed us half the line, then we would know it was radius. So half of 8 is 4. The height is 17 because that's what's connecting our two bases together. That's our distance, is 17. Plus 2 pi. Again, radius here is 4, and we're squaring it. Now, this did ask us to leave our answer in terms of pi. So don't put pi in your calculator at all when you're solving this. In this first part, you can just say 2 times 4 times 17. You put that into your calculator, and you get 136. We have the pi that's still with it, plus, and in your calculator you can say 2 times 4 squared. So 2 times 16 is 32 pi. Now adding those together, combining your like terms, we get 168 pi, and our units are centimeters. Since it's surface area, that's squared. So here's our answer below. Alright, number 5 says find the surface area of the pyramid shown to the nearest whole number. So we want surface area and we want to the nearest whole number. Alright, so first formula for a pyramid for surface area. Surface area is equal to the lateral area plus base, area of base. Notice there's only one b and not 2b because we only have one base. Lateral area for a pyramid as well as a cone is found by 1/2 perimeter times slant height, and then plus area of our base. So filling in what we do know, perimeter, we see we have a square because this is 3 and this is 3. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, adding that up, we get 12. Our slant height is given to us, it's 7, plus b. Remember that capital B stands for area of base. To find the area of our base here, we're going to say 3 times 3, and we get 9. And then you just plug this into your calculator, or you can just do the math. Half of 12 is 6, 6 times 7 is 42, and 42 plus 9 is equal to 51 feet. And we're going to say squared because we're talking about surface area. So 51 feet squared is our answer. Number 6 says find the slant height x of the pyramid shown, and we want it to the nearest tenth. Alright, well, as we can see here, we're given the height. We know this is the height because it creates this altitude, or it creates this 90-degree angle, and it goes from the vertex to the center. And then we want to figure out what the slant height is. Well, what you want to do is create this 90-degree triangle. So you want to draw this line over, And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So if I know the whole thing is 9, then half of it, this is going to be 4.5 over here. I want to solve for x. So what we want to say is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember, the slant height is always going to represent your hypotenuse, or in other words, it will always represent your c. So we have 8 squared plus 4.5 squared is equal to our slant height, which we're representing with x squared. So 8 squared is 64, 4.5 squared is 20.25 is equal to x squared. Combining these two together, we get 84.25 is equal to x squared. And then to solve for x, we're going to take the square root of each side. So square root, and our answer is going to be 9.2 millimeters. That's what our slant height is in this problem. Number 7 says find the lateral area and surface area of the cone. Round the answers to the nearest tenth. The figure is not drawn to scale. Alright, well for a cone, I know that lateral area is equal to 1/2 perimeter times slant height. Well, perimeter for a cone is the circumference. So it's 1/2 times circumference, which is 2 pi r times slant height. And here, 1/2 times 2, that's really just 1. So my lateral area is really just pi r l. So plugging in what I know, well, pi is pi. My radius is given to me, it's 12. And my slant height is given to me, it's 21. So plugging this into your calculator, you get your lateral area. Rounding it to the nearest tenth, we get 791.7. And since it's area, we're saying feet squared. So here's my lateral area. All right, now we want to look at surface area. Surface area is found by taking your lateral area and adding to it the area of the base. So if our lateral area is 791.7, then I'm going to add to it the area of our base. Since our base is a circle, the area is found by saying pi r squared. So plugging in for our radius, we have 791.7 plus pi times radius squared. So plus 12 squared. We know 12 squared is 144. So plugging into your calculator, 791.7 plus 144 pi, and rounding that to the nearest tenth, our surface area is 1244.1. And our units are feet squared. So here's our answer below for surface area. Number 8 says find the volume of the given prism. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Well, volume for a prism is found by base times height. And again, the capital B is area of the base times the height of the prism. So if I determine that this bottom shape is my base, then to find the area of that, I would say 15.6 times 2.1. So 15.6 times 2.1 times my height, and my height connects my two bases. So 8 is my height. And I'm just going to multiply all this together in my calculator. So 15.6 times 2.1 times 8, and rounding it to the nearest tenth, is 262.1. Units are centimeters, and since it's volume, we're talking cubed. So here's my answer for volume. For number 9, we have the same directions. We want to find the volume of the prism, and we want to round to the nearest tenth. Again, volume is equal to area of base times the height. Our base here is a triangle. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base of the triangle. We can call that 1 times the height of the triangle. We can call that 2 times the height of the prism. And we can say 17. We know that 2 and 1 are the base and height because they create the 90-degree angle, because that's what's shown up above. So just plug this into your calculator, and 1 times 2 is 2, half of 2 is 1, and 1 times 17, we get 17 as our answer. Our units here are meters, and since it's volume, we're talking meters cubed. So here's our answer. Number 10 says the volume of a cylinder is 980 pi inches cubed. The height of the cylinder is 20 inches. What is the radius of the cylinder? Well, we volume. Number 11 says cylinder A has a radius of 1 and a height of 4. Cylinder B has a radius of 2 and a height of 4. Find the ratio of the volume of cylinder A to the volume of cylinder B. So what we want to do here is find the volume of both. So for cylinder A, our volume is equal to base times height. Now again, for a cylinder, since the base is a circle, the area of that is pi r squared h. So volume for, again, cylinder A, plugging in, we know radius is 1, so pi times 1 squared, and height is 4. If we leave this in terms of pi, then we get that our volume is 4 pi. Finding the volume for cylinder B, volume again is equal to base times height. Our base is a circle, so the area of the circle is pi r squared times height. Leaving it in terms of pi, our radius is given as 2, so 2 squared, and our height again is given as 4. So 2 squared is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16, and we have the pi. So now we want to find the ratio of cylinder A to the volume of cylinder B. So we can say 4 pi over 16 pi. And all we have to do is reduce this to find that volume ratio. Pi over pi, that cancels each other out. And then 4 divided by 16, that reduces to 1 over 4, or we could write 1, 2, 4. So that's our answer. Number 12 says find the volume of the composite space figure to the nearest whole number. So we have half a cylinder here, and we have a rectangular prism. So we're going to find the volume of both of those and then add them together. So we're going to say half a cylinder. We're going to add that to the prism. So first we'll find the volume of the cylinder. We know volume is equal to base times height. Since we only want half of it though, we're going to say 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, base of a cylinder again is a circle, so area of the circle is pi r squared times the height. And plugging in for what we know, we have 1/2 times pi. Our radius is going to be half of our diameter, and our diameter is equal to 5 because these are the same length here. So our radius is half of 5, which is 2.5. Don't forget to square it, times the height. The height is going to be the distance from your base to your base, and that distance is this length, which is 10. Plugging that into your calculator, you get that half of that cylinder is 98.17477. Alright, so now we're going to find the volume of the prism. Volume of the prism is pretty easy to find. You just say the area of the base times the height. And since all we're doing is multiplying here, we can choose any of these for our base, and it's basically just 5 times 10 times 4. Doing the math here, 5 times 10 is 50, and 50 times 4 is 200. So now we just take these two measurements and we add them up. So half our cylinder we said was 98. We're rounding it to the nearest whole number, so 98, plus our prism, 200. So our answer is 298 millimeters, and since we're talking about volume, it's cubed. So 298 millimeters cubed. Alright, number 13 says find the volume of the square pyramid shown. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Alright, so volume for a pyramid, you find that by taking 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So plugging in what we know, our base here is a square. So if this is 24, then this is 24. So base is going to be 24 times 24 times the height. Our height is given to us as 13, but this isn't really our height. This is our slant height. I want to find out our actual height. So I need to draw this line coming down. I need to create this 90-degree triangle. And I know since this is 24 that this is 12, and I need to find h. So I need to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do that to the side, or I'll do that below. I'm going to say h squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. Remember, your slant height's always your c, or it's always your hypotenuse. So h squared plus 144 is equal to 169. Subtracting 144, I get h squared is equal to 25. And then square rooting both sides, h is equal to 5. So now I have my value for my height, and I'll plug that in. And then doing the math here, a third of 24 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 times 24 is 960. Our units are feet, and volume would be cubed. So here's our answer. Number 14 says, find the volume of the cone shown as a decimal rounded to the nearest tenth. Alright, volume for a cone is 1/3 base times height. So plugging in what we know, our base here is a circle, so area of a circle is pi r squared, and then we have the height at the end. So we have 1/3 times pi. Our radius, well, since we have this whole line across, then we know 12 is the diameter, which makes our radius 6. So 6 squared, and then our height is given, it's 22. And we just plug this into a calculator. We want to round it to the nearest tenth, so we get 829.4. Units are meters, and it's volume, so it's cubed. Number 15 says, find the surface area of the sphere with the given dimensions. Leave your answers in terms of pi. Well, for a sphere, surface area is found by 4 pi r squared. So if we're given the radius is 80, we just plug that in, 4 pi times 80 squared. So I have 4 pi, I know 8 squared is 64, so I'm just going to add 2 zeros and make this 6,400. And then 4 times 6,400 becomes 25,600 pi, because I didn't put pi in my calculator. And my units are meters. Since it's surface area, it's squared. So here's my answer. 25,600 pi meters squared. Number 16 says, find the volume of the sphere shown. Give each answer rounded to the nearest cubic unit. Well, volume for a sphere is found by 4/3 pi r cubed. Given to us is the diameter. I know it because it has the line going all the way from one side to the other. So half of 13 is going to be 6.5. So I have 4/3 times pi times 6.5 cubed. And I'm just going to put that in my calculator. It says round to the nearest cubic unit. So in my calculator, I'm saying 6.5 cubed times pi times 4/3. Kind of going backwards here. 6.5 cubed times pi times 4/3. And rounding that to the nearest cubic unit, I get 1,150 centimeters cubed as my final answer. Alright, you guys, we're almost done. We're on number 17. The volume of the sphere is 4,500 pi meters cubed. What is the surface area of the sphere to the nearest square meter? So what we want to do is use this first bit of information to find our radius. So volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. But I know volume is 4,500 pi. So I'm going to plug that in for the V. I'm going to leave everything on the right side the same. And now I'm going to solve for radius. Well, notice you have a pi symbol on each side, so those cancel each other out. And then to get rid of the 4/3, since it's multiplying, we would divide normally. but since it's a fraction, we're going to multiply by 3/4 on each side. And multiplying by 3/4, that cancels out the 4/3, so those cancel each other out. So we have r cubed is equal to 3/4 times 4,500. And when you do that math, you get 3375. And in order to solve for your radius, since you're cubing it, you just take the cubed root. So we're cube rooting each side. And we see that radius is equal to 15. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it into surface area. Surface area for a sphere is found by taking 4 times pi times r squared. So plugging in for radius the 15, I have 4 pi times 15 squared. And then just plugging all this into your calculator, since we want it to the nearest square meter, I say 15 squared times pi times 4, and we get 2827. So 2,827 meters is our unit, and since it's area, it's squared. So there's your answer. Number 18 says, are the two figures similar? If so, give the similarity ratio of the smaller figure to the larger figure. So the first thing to notice is, are they even the same shape? Yes, they both are the same shape. So now we're going to compare their dimensions. We see that this 5 and this 20, they're talking about the same dimension. So we'll say 5/20. Is that, question mark, is that equal to our next dimension? We have another 5/20. So is that equal to this 5/20? And is that equal to this dimension, 17/68? So we just have to reduce each of these fractions and make sure they're all equal to each other. So 5/20 reduces to 1/4. Again, 5/20 reduces to 1/4. And we get that by saying what divides in evenly into both. So if we divide 5 by 5, we get 1. If we divide 20 by 5, we get 4. Lastly, 17/68. Well, they're both divisible by 17. 17 goes into 17 one time, and 17 goes into 68 4 times. So, yes, they are similar, and our similarity ratio is 1:4. Number 19 says, find the similarity ratio of a cube with volume 343 centimeters cubed to a cube with volume 2,744 centimeters cubed. If we want to find the similarity ratio, then we're going to say 343 is to 2,744. And since we know that volume is raised to a third power of the similarity ratio, what we're going to do to these numbers to find the similarity ratio is take the cubed root of each. If this was surface area, then we would just take the square root. But since it's volume, we have to take the cubed root. And taking the cubed root of each, the cubed root of 343 is, oh, actually, what I failed to do is I failed to reduce this first. So, scratch that out. 343 over 2,744, first you should try to reduce this fraction. And they both are divisible by 343. So it reduces to 1/8. Now, since you've reduced it, we can take the cubed root of each. And the cubed root of 1 is 1, and the cubed root of 8 is 2. So our similarity ratio is 1:2, or you could write it 1:2. So here's our answer. All right, last problem, number 20. If the scale factor of two similar solids is 5:8, what is the ratio of their corresponding areas? What is the ratio of their corresponding volumes? So all you have to remember is that similarity ratio is A to B, but area ratio is A squared to B squared. And then volume ratio is A cubed to B cubed. So if we already have 5/8 as our similarity ratio, then the area ratio is going to be 5 squared to 8 squared, which is 25/64. So there's our area ratio. Volume ratio is going to be 5 cubed over 8 cubed. So 5 cubed is 125, and 8 cubed is 512. So here's the ratio of our corresponding volumes. So this is the answer here, and this one is the answer there. All right, you guys. Good luck studying. Again, if you have any questions, come see me in the morning. See me before your test. Learning objectives are due tomorrow. So is any late work. Get it in. Good luck studying.